Hello to the two fans and welcome. This is Chicago Ted coming to you with another replay cast. This one's going to be a fun one. It was a captain's mode, so there was a whole little draft that went on before this. A lot of thought went into these lineups, and I'll take a quick second to brief through them. But for now, this is Chicago Ted coming to you with this replay, and thank you so much to the person who sent this one in. I hope you enjoy it. So taking a look at the Dire, we've got Super Fresh playing the Drow Ranger with Peachmonger on the Troll Warlord. Rain Time's going to be on the Vengeful Spirit with Bullock Chops on the Spirit Breaker. And finally, YBRD playing the Nature's Prophet. Meanwhile, for the Radiant side this time around, it's going to be El Diablo on the Witch Doctor with an unfair bot. I assure you that is actually a player, even though it might not seem like it right now. He's going to be on the Gyrocopter. Boss will be playing the Lion with Denny Orion on the Faceless Void. And last but certainly not least, Mello is going to be on the Shadow Fiend. So looks like we got a little bit of a contest for the top rune here. Peachmonger is going to go in large and in charge, though. The Witch Doctor is going to be a bit of a problem with the Paralyzing Cast down, though. They don't have anything left to go on this. A charge comes through on the Mello. They're going to get him with the Magic Missile, and they get him with that last bash from the Flail of Bullock Chops. So Mello will go down first blood to the Spirit Breaker. Top rune is going to go the way of the, I'm guessing, Deny Orion got it. That's pretty important that the Radiant got that top rune, despite the aggression. Bottom, though, did go to the unfair bot. So, the Radiant get both runes. However, Dire get first blood, so a little bit of a trade going on there, as we see the wave getting pulled back by YBRD, giving him a little bit of extra control on this wave. Secured experience, nothing to be denied from him, as typically when you deal with a Lion, you deal with a heavy zoning support. So with that, he's going to have a little bit more advantage in this lane. He's going to get a guaranteed experience, a little bit of farm if he's able to last it effectively with this, but in the end, this is pretty important for him to do. It's going to be a tough lane for him otherwise, especially with a Gyrocopter Lion. There's a lot of damage that comes out from that lane. Important to note as well, he gets a little bit of bonus damage from Super Fresh, who has gone for the Precision Aura active already. I'm not totally sure where he's going with that. Maybe a little bit of extra push somewhere, a little odds and ends, but the damage that range creeps do is pretty substantial. You can see exactly how much they do. The 23 damage, which is more than a melee creep. But Paralyzing Cast coming out will bounce between Bullock Chops and Peachmonger, but neither one of them really in any position to go down. They are both low, but there's plenty of support up here to help out, stunlock and whatnot. So right now, I am liking the Dire's draft a little bit more. They've got a whole lot of split push and a ton of damage between the Venge and the Drow, buffing up their allies by a huge margin, but it's not like they completely out-carry the Radiant. The Radiant have plenty of heroes to drag them into the late game, with the Shadow Fiend, the Faceless Void, Gyrocopter as well. Plenty of minus armor that works in a similar way to the Drow and the Vengeance Aura, but still quite different in how it boosts damage, whereas Drow and Venge both directly increase damage, minus armor kind of indirectly increases the damage done. So Diablo could be in a bit of trouble. They're looking for a bash, but they won't get it. In fact, it's only a level 2 Spirit Breaker. He doesn't actually have anything skilled up past his charge. So Paralyzing Cast, another one coming out. The Malefice will connect onto Bullock Chops, but a level 1 Malefice will do little to no damage. A little bit of damage tick over time, though, but each pounce or each burst will only hit him for about 10 HP, if that. Looks like much less than that. On the bottom lane, YBRD is going to harass out the Unfair Bot and Boss with these creeps. However, if they do go down, they give a fair amount of experience. A very small amount of gold, but still gold nonetheless, will go the way of whoever gets that last hit too. So bottom fair probably will be focusing those down, and Gyrocopter has a fairly decent time dealing with this too. He can burst them down fairly quickly with his flak cannon or rocket barrage if he needs to spend it. So I wouldn't imagine that the Radiant are going to have too much trouble with that harass. It's typically how the Nature's Prophets play though in this bottom lane, is get as many trees as possible and just use those to spam down your opponent. When they get low, you either TP in behind them and hit them down, or wait for a gank, or just use that time that they're low and back to secure your own farm. There's going to be a raise out onto Super Fresh. Mello's looking for a couple more to follow up, but is out of mana, so cannot continue casting it. Top lane, a little bit of back and forth harass, but nothing to really make anyone more or less comfortable in the lane. It's just kind of a little bit of poking. That's all it really is going to amount to be for now. Super Fresh dropping very low, though. Has that bottle. Now with a Haste Rune. Could be looking for a kill here. Now, this is an out-of-mana Shadow Fiend, so he can just run at it, but he can't trade hits, so he's got to use that double damage, or sorry, that Haste Rune to get damage off without taking anything himself, and realizing that he's a little bit out of position to attack, has to back himself off. So the Haste Rune is not going to mean much for him. In that first bottle pop, or that second bottle pop, I guess, will be canceled by the creep, so only has 2 charges to bring himself up to about 260 HP, whereas Mello only had that bounty rune, did not have a bottle behind it, which means he's not really looking for much else on top of that, just the extra golden experience. YBRD on the bottom lane in a huge amount of trouble. He'll get brought down by the unfair bot, and now the flat cannon starting to tick away at those creeps, still not bringing them down. As, oh, they actually might get boss here, trapping him in, but not going to trap him absolutely. Unfair bot, though, is trapped. I guess not. It looked like he would be, but I've been wrong before. So he will clean up those creeps. Now at about 60 HP, but has himself a salve. So not looking too much trouble. Dilation out into Peachmonger. Now the time walk forward. They'll get a magic missile to protect, but El Diablo will get that last right click through. However, Rain Time and Ball Chops aren't going to let it go unpunished. They'll bring down both Deny Orion and El Diablo as the return kill, making it worth it. Not well worth it, because the carry did go down. That makes it slightly better for the Radiant, but the fact that both got traded away to the supports gives the said supports a little bit of extra room to work with. Rain Time's going to have 900 gold in the bank, so whatever he decides to go for, typically it's the power treads for this Vengeful Spirit, though I've seen them go more of the supporting style into the Arcane Boots and the Medallion of Courage. But whatever he goes for right now, he's got plenty of gold to get him there. Same thing with Bala Chops, 668 gold on top of what he's already got. Should be able to get some boots pretty quickly. In fact, does get some boots pretty quickly. YBRD, speaking of boots, is going to be going for the phase boots with the Blades of Attack right now. I'm not a huge fan of this build. I think it's got its place, especially for a heavily early game aggressive Nature's Prophet. You know, the triple null talisman blade mail build. It's still a thing. I've seen it before, and I've played it and won with it too. Anecdotal evidence, I know, but still, it hits pretty hard in the early game, and that can usually mean the difference between a successful and unsuccessful gank. But he is very low down here, and Bonfair is giving him a run for his money. Rain Time could be in a bit of trouble. They get him with a paralyzing cast. They just need one more raise, but it was a long distance raise to hit that first one. The second will come out, the mid-range and the Peachmonger, but not much more. Mello dropping pretty low, but the Voodoo Restoration is helping him keep in a sizable amount of HP. However, the Charge of Darkness will come through. El Diablo's already fallen. Requiem of Souls, but it's not going to do anything as Mello also going down. The Dire are pulling a 5-kill, well, actually it's more of a 3-kill lead, but 5 kills in total in the first 7 minutes of this game, closing out what seems to be a pretty decent early game. Radiant, they had a little bit of an advantage coming out before that fight, but now it's at about equilibrium. In fact, the recent update shows a pretty substantial decline into the Dire's favor. Experience has always been there, though, aside from the first couple of minutes. Charge of Darkness coming out onto Deny Orion, just needs a bash into El Diablo, but not going to get it. 2 points in bash, 1 point empowering haste. 2 points Charge of Darkness seems to be the build right now for the Spirit Breaker, so I imagine he's going to be maxing both the bash and the charge, which, you know, is respectable. Typically, you'll see sometimes the Spirit Breaker opting for the empowering haste just because of the bash damage scales with movement speed. But right now, it doesn't seem like he's giving too much attention to that. As more of a support, Spirit Breaker doesn't exactly care about the damage. He just cares about being able to stun lock down, which getting more points in Greater Bash and Charge of Darkness will help you accomplish. So there's going to be a charge in mid on to Mello, looking for the follow-up bash, but can't get it. 2 hits, 3 hits. The third will connect. Now they've got the Frost Arrows. Can they bring him down before the Invis Rune, though? Just need one more hit. It does connect. Super Fresh will be the one to get that kill. Very important that this Drow Ranger gets a kill right now on the Shadow Fiend, too. We saw the supports were tending to get the kills on the side of the Dire. Having the cores get them is very effective, actually. So we've got the Unfair bot going back to base as it seems some altercations happened on the bottom lane, courtesy of YBRD, who is protecting his tier 1 tower, holding on to it tooth and nail. Keeping it up longer than the Radiant offlane tier 1 is pretty important, considering the Radiant have a fairly decent pushing lineup between the Gyrocopter and the Shadow Fiend, with the Voodoo Restoration helping them. They haven't seemed to group up for said push, though, which could be a little bit of an issue coming into the next couple of minutes. They really want to get these towers down, but the pressure is on right now. YBRD will put some damage onto the tier 1 bottom. Looks like Boss is coming in for the roundabout backstab, though. TP out is going to get immediately canceled by the Hex. Now an Earth Spike. Do they have any follow-up stuns? They do with a Paralyzing Cask. They don't have any missiles, homing missiles out, but the stun from the Paralyzing will follow through, and they get another kill. However, Mello has died elsewhere, it looks like in the mid lane, along with his tier 1 tower. So, 2 tier 1s gone on the side of the Radiant. Dire only missing one, as it seems this bottom tier 1's going to go down. So this will be the one that that I just said they're missing. A little bit early to call, but it does end up dropping. Bollock Chops was starting a charge down into the bottom lane, but will cancel it pretty quickly thereafter. So rounding out the 10-minute mark, the first big benchmark of the game is the 15. So we'll hold off on that analysis for now. But looking at how the lineups are doing right now, at the 10-minute, the net worth, we've got the Drow Ranger taking the top. Super Fresh has been farming the top lane, or the mid lane, pretty effectively, 2-0-1, and now we'll try to find another kill into El Diablo. His right-click damage is very big. We'll end up chunking down El Diablo. However, there is going to be a call down with the Chronosphere connected. Super Fresh will drop just as quickly. Bullet Chops, very quick thereafter. 2 for 1, the support of Radiant for 2 pretty heavy damage dealers of the Dire. That's a very big kill for the Radiant to get, and after that tier 1 tower goes down bottom as well, giving plenty of gold, swinging around that advantage, I think, as the Radiant will start to claw their way back. Only about 3,000 disadvantage is what they were at the peak of it, but still, now putting Super Fresh at the second point. Unfair Bot will take the top spot on net worth by about 200 gold, so nothing too big, but as it was the bottom lane engagement, the 2 highest net worth heroes on the side of the Dire for the 1 lowest net worth hero on the Radiant. You talk about whether an engagement is worth it, and sure, they got some gold for that kill. But what did they lose? They lost a whole bunch of farming time. I mean, you get 250 gold and yada yada experience for killing a Witch Doctor, right? That gets made up very quickly. I'll talk about that in a second. That gets made up very quickly by just hitting 2 or 3 creeps. So the time you were dead definitely makes it not worth it. Considering what just happened there, the Nature's Prophet was very lucky to get away, because all the Witch Doctor had to really do is throw a Paralyzing Cask at a creep close by, and it can bounce the targets in the Fog of War. So you hit the creep that was right here, and it would have bounced into the trees, had a 50% chance to bounce into the trees, that is. So that would have secured them that kill and made life very difficult. I also think they probably could have gotten some vision. Does Maledict give vision? You know, I should know whether or not it gives vision, but I guess we'll have yet to be seen. Whatever the case, they probably could have brought him down, and the fact that he didn't go down is very lucky for YBRD, as Superfresh trying to take a double stack, or a triple stack, I guess. 3 Ancient Camps, and it's proving to be a little bit more than he could handle, as the War Drums aura with the bonus attack speed, the Dragonhide aura with the bonus armor, and the health increase just makes these creeps impossible to kill. At least for an early level Drow. If she were to have a little bit more damage, I mean, 1 point in Precision Aura is pretty decent. Actually, it's only Marksmanship. Precision Aura is the aptly named Aura of Drow. But 1 point in Marksmanship only gives her a small amount of agility. It is a lot, but in respect to the other amounts, it's not that great. Like Boss will go down, by the Radiant bottom rune. So kind of a quick in and out kill there. They get the Lion. Not a huge profile kill, but still giving them a little bit of extra gold definitely makes it worth it, especially if they get out alive. YBRD will then go to the top lane to split push. Super Fresh, I think he's going to go and try to steal the Ancients of the Radiant, but this stack is not all that. Actually, it's the same stack. He's going in and trying the same exact thing on the other side. Oh man, there's something almost poetic about that. I guess it makes sense it'd be the same stack. There's only 3 real camps that can spawn, and very often you get all 3 camps. But whatever the case, we've got Danny Orion. He's looking for a Chronosphere. He's got a level 1 up, but Peachmonger seems to be the one to start this engagement. We'll throw out the stun with the Whirling Axe's ranged form and get a couple of right clicks off, but the Charge of Darkness will not connect. I think they're just baiting out the Chronosphere, but it looks like nothing will come of it, at least for that engagement. The top tier 2 tower taking a lot of damage, though. They've got a glyph to protect it, but I think this tower still goes down, and it will. YBRD getting himself in the trees will then go to the bottom lane and continue his split push escapades. Has gone for the drums phase and null talisman, so the drums making up for the lost attack speed if he were to go for the power treads early. Also allows him to give a little bit more of an aura pushing power. The drums, of course, increasing the attack speed of all the creeps, so helps out quite a bit, and will mean that we've got a Nature's Prophet who can be the Rat if he needs to be, and he's already being a little bit of a split pusher, though Rat and Tails, they're behind, and they're not exactly behind at the moment. So YBRD, I would imagine we might be seeing an Aghanim Scepter build up for him, as that seems to fit his playstyle more, going for the items that, although they do help him push, they also have a pretty big impact on his damage. Ags, of course, being a pretty decent item for damage for Nature's Prophet, as it gives him the small amount of attack speed with the agility, but more so the 10 intelligence, which, you know, an intelligence hero has a lot of items they could possibly build, but if they go for items that are just for the intelligence stats for the damage, they end up falling behind, because usually other items tend to be better. But that Ag Scepter, the other items that he could go for if you were looking for that don't quite have the same pushing power but have more of a team fight presence, could be something like a Scythe of Vice. But looks like we'll see which one he goes for. For now, he's going to get blown up on the bottom lane. They had 2 ultimates, both the Finger of Death and the Death Ward. An awful lot of death in that little fight, but getting brought down swiftly and efficiently. They will pull a decent sum of gold out of that one, also some nice experience. But that only puts him into the ground for about 20 seconds, a place that Nature's Prophet really likes to be. And he'll be back up shortly and able to push more towers. I mean, the mid-tier 2 is starting to take a little bit of damage. The bottom tier 2 is still completely healthy. However, that will not last forever. So the Radiant will use this time to get a little bit of pushing done on their own side. We've kind of crossed the threshold now where early game hits the mid game. And as far as which team is better in the mid game, I definitely put the Radiant as a bit more of a brawling lineup. They've got the Chronosphere and the Death Ward, which can operate in conjunction to make one hell of a wombo combo. On top of that, they have the Requiem and the Call Down. Now, Requiem doesn't exactly synergize with them because you can't pop a Requiem in the Chronosphere, but you can still drop the Call Down and the Requiem is on the fringe or behind, so that they try to run backwards after the Chronosphere, they get blown up. If they, well, no matter what they do, they get blown up because the movement slow from the Requiem tends to destroy them after Chronosphere is done. El Diablo can definitely solo kill YBRD here if there were very few creeps, but with the majority of them there means he cannot get the adequate bounces to get just a Death Ward off, so he'll back away. But going back to that mid game there, we're looking at Radiant. I imagine within the next 5 or 10 minutes, they're going to take a fight that they flat out win. And it's going to be no contest. And they start pushing out towers, and the game gets kind of hard for the Dire. But again, the Dire have a much better delay lineup. If they feel like the pressure is on them, they can split the aggression, take control of the map, and just not give the Radiant any more fights. So if they get 5-man wiped or something along those lines, they will probably never give up something like that again. They don't have to 5-man fight unless they're defending high ground, in which case a 5-man wipe would just mean the end of the game, and analysis is not really needed there. But have to see exactly what they do as we're closing in now, getting closer to that 20-minute threshold, the official end of the early game. 15 is where I kind of put it myself, but I think it's like 20-40 is where the mid-game takes place between those two times. But that kind of makes it easy. Split it up. If you take a total of 60 minutes, just divide into thirds and you've got it. But the Super Fresh, he's got a Sanj and Yasha now. This looks like he's going to be going for the Mjolnir build. This is very typical of that build. Before, it used to be, I think, Helm of the Dominator into a Manta style, into just straight up agility items like a Butterfly. Sometimes you'd see the Ethereal Blade just because the raw agility it gives is the most out of any item. But actually it looks like a little bit of trouble as the Chronosphere comes out, catching Super Fresh and Peachmonger. Unfair Boss not going to get the call down just yet, but the Witch Doctor is down, so the Death Ward is not going to come through. A Requiem of Souls, Rain Time taking the full brunt of that one, will drop very quickly thereafter. Deny Orion is going to move forward, but Peachmonger is gone. It's a 2-for-1. The Dire, not quite the fight I was mentioning, but Unfair Bot still chasing on the Bollock Chops. Got the homing missile to follow him, but it will connect. It looked like they were trying to bring it down, but they weren't quite successful. The Tier 1 still standing in the mid means that Tier 2 is relatively, is going to stay pretty healthy. Radiant probably going to see a little bit of pushback here as they go in for some damage. They get it down about a 20th or a 10th of his HP, but won't be able to do much further. As expected, the Dire will come into defense. So, again, not quite that fight that I was expecting. Still, the Dire don't lose too much off of it, but a 2-for-1 at this point is not really something you want to take away. Big thing looming over their shoulders is that the Unfair Bot has been holding the top of the net worth now for quite a while. And I don't think he stole that stack. I think it was taken before, but still giving a little bit of war of attrition here as he'll run straight into Bullet Chops to charge back, but it's very close, so he's got no more escape. They'll drop out the homing missile, but he'll die before it even gets a chance to get off the ground. Super Fresh with a silence onto the low ground, but they'll still be chasing it. The Hex out onto Peachmonger. Mello is caught in the invis, so the Unfair Bot is going to come out with the call down. Deny Orion is in. They've got the Death Ward. And now 3 will drop. Peachmonger should be the 4th. YBRD putting some pressure elsewhere. Doesn't want to fight with a team, but that's the fight that I was more expecting. Dire losing a whole lot for very little consequence. But see, in scenarios like this, if they just don't fight, or if they fight but only lose the 3 instead of and not stay fresh on the Drow Ranger, this tower would be dead. All he'd have to do is pop his Precision Aura, and then YBRD plus all the creeps now with bonus damage would make very quick work of that tower. But for right now, the Tier 3 will still stand, though it doesn't minimize what YBRD was able to do there, because his team pretty much got wiped. But the Tier 2 remains standing in the mid lane, and now a whole lot of pressure is being put on that bottom Tier 3, as it is within one more push before going down. The Siege Creep doing some extra work with the piercing damage there. So I'm looking at a game right now, 22 minutes in, where it's anyone's game, but the Radiant are, I think, in a much more comfortable position, because the Dire, they've got to pick and choose their engagements so carefully from here on out. The one benefit they've got going for them is the split push tends to make opponents get them a lot more stressed, I guess would be the point I'm trying to make here. You put the stress on them, you put the pressure on them, and they'll make mistakes. And that could be the one thing. Like in a perfect game, a team will generally make the right decisions to make a split push ineffective. But and sometimes in pubs, or even I've seen it happen a lot in Pro Dota. We can take a lot of examples of alliance games to make our point here, but split pushing and general rat Dota can force the enemy team to make mistakes. And those mistakes will turn a game that, yeah, they're comfortable in to, oh crap, they're down 2 racks and they haven't been able to make anything happen for their own advantage. So look to the Radiant to try to secure their lead by going after the Roshan, picking down towers, but you can also shut down this split push just by having a TP scroll or 2 ready on the Shadow Fiend, on the Gyrocopter, both of them without TPs. In fact, does any of them? Okay, Deny Orion is the only one with a TP scroll, and he is not going to be able to solo kill that Nature's Prophet, so I think if you're not going to carry TPs, the best way for you to do this is to smoke up and just go straight after the Nature's Prophet. Bring him down and then go for the push. You force him to buy back, and that is where things get hairy for the Dire, as Bollock Chop's being caught in the Chronosphere, but he's the only one there. Double damage on Super Fresh is going to make him go down very quickly. Now Mellow, the Charged Darkness through, and the damage is out. Yeah, there was not a Shadow Fiend there. Earth Spike, but Boss is just going to 1-by-1, goes in for the Finger of Death, but isn't able to get the kill, as he'll get brought down. That's double damage on Bullet Chops as well? What the? I thought it was Super Fresh. I guess he didn't have the DD. Whatever the case, that is a big fight for the Radiant, or for the Dire to take, as they might actually be able to end the game right here. 25 minutes in, they can bring down this tier 2, rotate up top, and bring down the top racks easily. In fact, they could bring down 2 sets of racks here. Yeah, nah, I think just the top racks if they go for it. Looks like they will focus the mid tier 3 though, so 2 tier 3s could be good, but with the call down there, it's going to force them back. This is an issue though, with the top melee racks dropping so low. Looks like they're not going to be able to bring it down though. Did the Precision Aura? It did get spent, so that helped out a little bit, but the melee racks will still stand. I definitely think it was the play for the Dire there to just go up and clean out the top racks instead of trying to go for that mid, but we'll have to see where it's, what place it's going to have, as it looks like we have an Invis Mellow with that Shadow Blade, moves forward but is not able to find the Vengeful Spirit. So we'll back off and go straight in for more farming. He is lacking on souls right now, so he's got to go and dedicate some time to get those back. And the camps are not really favoring him either. I mean, you've got the 6 creeps. Actually, you know, it's not that bad. He can pull out a total of 11 creeps from these camps and get him pretty decently high on his souls. But another push coming into the top lane. And this should force the equilibrium down a little bit. Remember, we only had that TP scroll on the Faceless Void. It looks like Mellow did pick himself up a TP in the meantime, so he's got one ready to react. And El Diablo also picking up a TP, but I definitely think YBRD could have YOLO down this Rax if he so wanted to, but he'll instead pop a level 2 Necronomicon. No, that's a level 3 Necro. No, yeah, it was a level 2. I guess I should trust my instinct there. But popping out the level 2 Necronomicon. But Bot Unfair is cleaning out these creeps pretty quickly. In fact, he hasn't sent them towards the racks, so they won't ever get there in time. Still losing a lot of mana from this. It won't mean all that much of a difference. In fact, it is a lot of gold that Unfair Bot can pull out of that. 200 gold per summon for a level 2 Necronomicon, 300 when it hits level 3. So YBRD will push out the bottom lane. All eyes on him to split push this one out, I think. We'll see how effective he's able to create the space and create the pressure. Meanwhile, Peachmonger is closing in on that Sanjin Yasha. Bullet Chops with the Mask of Madness, giving him that extra attack speed. More bashes, less problems. Raintime's going to have himself a Aether Lens to extend the range of his Nether Swap. Also, the Magic Missile to help out as well. YBRD could be in a bit of trouble here on the bottom lane, though, as Mellow's in close by, El Diablo as well. They aren't going to see him, and so they will not be able to bring him down. Boss will come through with an Earth Spike just in case, but the Nature's Prophet is gone. Out of there. As the level 3 Necro getting completed. A group up from the Radiant down here on the bottom should mean that they're able to push down pretty effectively. Their TP scroll count is still relatively high, considering where they were, so if the split push comes through, they should have a way to deal with it. But I think if they want to make their time effective, they've got to pull themselves an objective out of this one, and Roshan could be that objective. They've got to get him. They call out when he popped himself out with a battle trance, so they go into the pit, they check it out, and they'll follow him down. They've got the homing missile coming through, but another strike on the bot unfair will keep him back. Now a charge of darkness. There is going to be a finger of death, though, as Peachmonger is caught in the call down. Both of them will go down. As the unfair bot pop into the BKB, will soon have his completed Monkey King bar, as Rain Time also going down. That's going to be it. Enough gold. However, YBRD is pushing out the top barracks. Does he have any Necro Creeps forcing this one down? It looks like he does have them helping out. I think, I don't even see them, but whatever the case, the melee rack should drop to this. The mid-tier 3 also going down. No, he's going to back off, but the Creeps are dealing enough damage. Maybe they'll be able to get this one off. They will! So the top Rex has gone down. The mid-Rex has been exposed. And YBRD will then push out the bottom Rex. Very important that he gets this pushing done. However, with the Monkey King Bar completed, all the unfair bot's got to do is TP back to the tower that's being pushed, or the lane that's being pushed, and one flak cannon will clean up every single creep in that push. So lots of gold. This gyrocopter, I don't think I've pointed out yet, is 8-0-5. I mean, he's got so much going for him right now. It's almost ridiculous how much he's got here, with his net worth topping out 17,000, greater than a 500, almost 550 to 600 GPM right now. I mean, this is fantastic for him. 250 CS at 30 minutes is nothing to scoff at. I mean, it's no 10 CS per minute, but it'll quickly get there if he keeps getting waves like this to push down. One flat cannon, and there it all goes. So, and I mean, that's a lot of, wait, that was, do I have the gold counts wrong? It looks like, oh, that's right, 300 gold for level 2 Necronomicon, 400 for level 3. I was 100 gold off. Either way, our Faceless Void has gone down in the mid lane. With an Aghanim Scepter, should be able to team fight a little bit more, but looks like we'll hold off for now on that Chrono, as it's really all he's got. Ags and Vlads, no finished boots, no treads or arcanes or anything to help him out. He's just kind of a walking Chronos here right now, which means he has no real damage to himself, and his survivability is fairly minimal. I mean, while the Axe gives him some decent raw HP plus 190 stat-based HP, it's still kind of tough for him to stay alive in the majority of these fights. The Sanjin Yasha being completed by the Troll Warlord now looks to be going into the BKB. Nature's Prophet going in for that Aghanim Scepter right about now with Spirit Breaker. The BKB has been completed on him. Venge going for what I imagine would be a Glimmer Cape, but Shadowblade, I wouldn't be surprised. Super Fresh has completed a Daedalus, now going for a Monkey King Bar, so not going to be going for the Maelstrom or Mjolnir build as previously expected, as they know he needs some actual damage and not just some cheesy push. Unfairabot, meanwhile, with a Sanjin Yasha BKB MKB, now looks like he could be going in for a Crystallis of his own, with El Diablo having nothing really but closing in on what seems to be an Aghanim Scepter with that point booster. Mello taking a whole lot of damage from cleaning up the Necronomicon creep. Gives him a decent sum of gold, though, as he should be able to clean up the ranged one very soon thereafter. He'll be going for an Assault Cuirass with our line. Oh, actually, he could be dead here. Do they? No. Wrath of Nature will not come through onto him. Close, almost unfortunately so. Charge of Darkness up onto the high ground. Unfair bot, though, still has a BKB. Will then turn and try to fight. Peachmonger will pop the Battle Trance, but the BKB does come out. A call down's already there as Deny Orion. He can't find a good Chronosphere. In fact, he might just go down. A Death Ward coming through, but not dealing as much damage as they need. Finally, Peachmonger will drop as Unfair bot chases him down. The Malefice not quite bringing Bollock Chops to death, as the Voodoo Restoration will protect the Radiant under that tier 1. Roshan's still up, so that could be their next target. However, YBRD has been pushing out the bottom lane. Unfair bot will go and react to that one. As no flat cannon up yet, has it in 5 seconds, so looks like they've just cleaned up the wave otherwise. Still will pop it though, so we'll go in for that next creep wave. Pretty passive game coming out to the 34-minute mark. We are now sub 1 kill per minute in this game, which makes a little bit of sense. It seems like both teams are playing this one very cautiously, as neither one wants to really try to push any sort of objectives. They just want to be careful and they want to farm up. It's not unexpected of a team to do this. Now, is it potentially game losing? Yeah, 9 times out of 10 it tends to be. But if both teams are doing it, neither one really pulls the, I guess, the advantage out of it. I still would like to see the Dire try to commit a little bit more. You know, go in for a smoke, try to bring down someone like the Gyrocopter, and then, you know, clean out the rest of their base. Because they have a lineup that if they can get up to the high ground, the towers fall and the barracks fall almost as soon as they hit them the first time. So they get in for that. I mean, even a Roshan right now would be better than nothing, because you really got to just do something. Farming is great, split pushing or attempting to is great, but it only is really effective if you can create space and enough out of it that you actually get objectives and you get closer to bringing down the Ancient, because as we all know, the objective of this game is to finally bring down an Ancient. Not to get kills, not to amass more gold than the enemy, although both tend to have a positive correlation with winning. Neither one is a definite. So, with both teams farming, but still the Gyrocopter holding out on top, we've got Super Fresh with an Aegis Mortality. With that Aegis done, and with all the items they need, I almost imagine they can go in for the fight, but they still have to be incredibly careful about Super Fresh, because he might be harder to bring down with the 2 lives. He still is not impossible, though, and a kill on Unfair bot would be huge right now. It's got a BKB and Boots of Travel, so they've got to be very aggressive and stun lock him down before he's able to pop that BKB. They do that. A kill here means the end of the game, I think. 80 seconds, does have buyback, so maybe not quite as extreme, but all they've got to do is then just quickly rotate. Just go to the mid lane, force that buyback, then back off. And when you do that, sometimes the enemy will chase you down, then you can turn, and you can take a successful fight, and you can win the game. But it seems they want to focus on the top lane with Rain Time farming it up. And does go in for that Glimmer Cape, by the way. Not quite sure where they get at for pushing out the top lane. They have nothing left to push here, but they'll still go for it. Mellow will pop into the Shadow Blade, which ends fairly soon. Can they get a Chrono out, though? They're all locked. 3 very close in proximity. There goes the Requiem of Souls, bringing Super Fresh and Bullet Chops down. However, Super Fresh has an Aegis Mortality. The Chronosphere is out. Super Fresh getting up close and personal, which means he loses half of his damage. They'll turn, they'll fight him, and they should be able to bring him down courtesy of a Finger of Death. YBRD will start a split push and get a little bit of damage on that ranged barracks, but he'll by no means bring anything down, as Mellow, moving on in, turns to right click, and YBRD, well, he should be dead if Diablo were to throw a paralyzing cast at a creep, but will not do so. So the ranged barracks will drop to sub half HP, but that's about it. I don't know. A couple things went wrong with that push. First, they pushed without a Sentry Ward, which is not the worst thing in the world to do if all they have is a Shadow Blade. Like, yeah, you got to be incredibly careful of those Shadow Blade initiations, and doing that typically entails that you don't just all group up on top of one another, which is what they did. But also, they just didn't really have a game plan. They were waiting up on the high ground and waiting grouped up against a Chronosphere, against a Requiem, Death Ward, all that just screams no for them. So, and now an Aghanim Scepter has been completed for El Diablo, making that fight even more scary. As I think the Dire, if I've seen anything before, what they did when this happened before is they just stayed back and they split pushed, they farmed, and didn't really do all that much. And this might be again what they do. I'm not sure how that happens.
Oh, look at it go.
I How do you? Maybe it was a Sprout? I mean, Sprout's the only way I could see it being possible. YBRD is probably alive. Gonna take a lot of damage from raises, I think, but will not go down. Mellow. That was interesting to see. But 40 minutes in now, we're coming into the official late game. And I think this is better for the Dire. I really do. They've got the split push. They've got... Okay, you know what? I'm going to hold that thought. I really want to see if this blocks the camp. That would be so depressing. Because what do you do to see this? Like... Okay. At least it doesn't block the camp. Because... that'd be broken. How would anyone know that was going on unless they placed an observer ward right here? Or... Okay, that was a little off right up there. So rain time. Hanging out in Dire Radiant side of the jungle. But it looks like I don't think he sees too much aggression here. There is no movement from the Radiant into their own jungle. Overall, I don't know. We got a Blink Dagger now completed on Deny Orion. As Rain Time will pick himself up a Haste Rune and make a move into the Radiant side once again. This could be trouble for him. If they're able to stun lock him down, or at least get a Initiate out with the Lion, they could get a nice easy kill here as Mellow, he could die. He could very easily die. They got a charge, they'll bring him down. As I think that was the Wrath of Nature to come through. What the hell is this? My god, that thing's a monstrosity. I don't even know if I can call that a tree. What even is that? Whatever it is, it's going to hit El Diablo for a decent sum, but also give up a nice amount. Only 20 gold, never mind. That thing should be worth a whole lot more. YBRD. You shouldn't be here. Well, learning that a little bit too late, I imagine. He'll get brought down. No real way to escape, except unless he were to go into the Sprout, and they don't. Really? Chronosphere and Call Down committed, and YBRD gets away alive. Okay, well played. Sprout, I mean, the Quelling Blade was on cooldown. I wasn't entirely sure what he cut down because I didn't see any trees cut down, but the Quelling Blade was on cooldown. It looked like he had a Time Walk, but it just came off cooldown, I think, so. I mean, okay. YBRD will live. Has a Desolator now completed. A 42-minute Deso, which isn't terrible. In conjunction with the Assault Cuirass means he does a lot of damage. But at this point, I think your DPS might be better off with something like a Crystallis or a Daedalus. Or even just go a little bit more for utility. Go for a BKB or a Satanic to help keep you alive in fights. But I don't think he's too worried about that. The Desolator definitely coming from a position of, oh, well, I'm just right-clicking them down. They're not focusing me. I just need as much damage as possible. And again, we go back to maybe it's not the highest DPS item for him, but we'll see how effective it can be. I think there would be better items, and that might be a mistake for him to go Desolator, but if they do win a fight and they have to push, that's when the Desolator will start to be that hugely important item. As the unfair bot, he's just not scared of anything right now. He walks up to the wave underneath both Rain Time and Bullet Chops and just says, hey, how you guys doing? I'm here and I'm going to farm this and you can't stop me. Now with an Aghanim Scepter completed on Super Fresh, giving him sort of splash damage, not really. As those arrows now getting split up, that's going to be pretty effective in a fight, though still without BKB. As, okay, YBRD, this time will go down. Can't run from it all the time. But I think I missed when he brought down the creep wave. To keep an eye on him now. They will move forward though. They'll go on to deny Orion, but they won't be able to bring him down. The Time Walk will just make him get him right away. Also, they've got a Sentry Ward on to the Ancients, so they can't stack at all as Witch Doctor. Rain Time will go down to the bottom lane. I mean, more inconsequential pickoffs on the supports. I think YBRD was a much bigger kill for them to get, but still, stopping some of the split push, which is putting Dire in a rather uncomfortable position, as Bollock Chops could also be dead here. He'll start to run away in this mid lane, but it looks like he is well enough alive, so he doesn't really care. But still going back to farming here. On the Dire side, wow. That's fantastic. That is utterly fantastic. Roshan will be back up, ready to bring down. I think the Drow can pretty much solo it right now. I'll have to see if they go for it, though. Still, just progressing their items, not really doing all that much. We've only had about 41 kills in 45 minutes. A very passive game by any stretch of the word. I mean, typically, when you've got this many kills, this is what entails a very long game. I could see this one going a lot longer than this. YBRD dead on the top. But there is a Charge of Darkness out onto Unfair Bot. Another strike out, but I don't think he brings down this Gyrocopter. In fact, Gyro might actually turn this right around. BKB onto Peachmonger. Needs that range for him slow, but will just turn and get some ranged right clicks off. And let this one go. Fall to the wayside as a Chronosphere now on the Peachmonger. Catches Bullet Chops as well. The Death Ward will bounce, and they get both of them. I mean, I don't know what they expected. So the Dire will drop 3 more, but still the Radiant having trouble pushing after some of these fights. Could try to pressure the Roche bit, but it's a tough call for them. As we'll see Boots of Travel, I guess, being completed now on Super Fresh. Level 2 Boots of Travel on the Gyrocopter. He is very close to 6-slotted. Doesn't need to hold on to that Sanjin Yasha. Can probably transfer it out for another item, or just go in for the Moon Shard right now, and let that be his kind of 7th slot until he decides to swap out the Sanjin Yasha for something. But for right now, he doesn't need to hold on to it. And I think that's going to be pretty important coming into the next couple of minutes, whether or not he progresses past this point, or just stays on this, because that means he's peaked. His power curve has peaked, and given that the Radiant or the Dire can still get stronger and stronger from this point, that's a huge plus for them, as Dire could be in a bit of trouble as Rain Time getting hexed. He's just going to get picked off here right underneath his own hard camp by the Secret Shop. YBRD will push the top lane, though. I'm not entirely sure why they're going for this lane still. There's an exposed Rax in the mid. Super Fresh is getting torn apart by Ba Unfair. I mean, I don't know what they were expecting to accomplish there. I mean, the most you can do is send YBRD into the mid lane, bring down that melee Rax, and then just run away. But they keep kind of trying to nail down that top Rax, and that's not going to work for them. They can't just end the game, because you have to know that the Radiant are going to be holding on to TP Scrolls and Boots of Travels, which actually Boots of Travels more likely. A level 2 bots on Bot Unfair. Still no level 1s on the Mellow, but he can probably be holding on to TP scrolls with that open inventory slot. The point being that we're looking at a team that, I mean, they're going to let the split push happen easily. So you got to take small baby steps. Go in for the low buildings. Put some pressure on the higher buildings. But don't go for the tier 4s just yet. You're not going to do that unless you get a team wipe and you got to end the game like within 20 seconds. Split pushing is a long con, and you got to play it as such. So the Radiant will do a little push in the mid lane, but still not looking for objectives, not pressuring anything. Tier 2 top still standing, Tier 2 bottom still standing. Roshan still without a cheese. This is the second Roshan in 50 minutes. And Dire have had plenty of opportunities to take this. Radiant not so much. Understandable. 5k gold now on the unfair bot. Probably just pick himself up a Moonshard right about now. Mellow getting closer to that Butterfly, but won't have it for a decent amount of time. And Butterfly doesn't really make a difference against Super Fresh anyway, but will be effective against the Nature's Prophet YBRD and also against Peachmonger. Mellow will scout out the Roche, and I think he might be able to take it. Even though he's got no lifesteal, he's doing a little bit more damage. But actually, no, it's going to be close. He's going to drop pretty low to this. In comes Deny Orion, though. There's a Vladimir's offering, so they will get this Roshan. No attempt at contesting it from the Dire. In fact, they throw in a little bit of minus armor to say, hey, we're helping. So Roshan will go down. The Aegis Mortality off to Mellow, I think. No, Deny is going to pick it up. Yeah, okay, he'll get it. The Dire will try to split push, but I can't see this working for them. I really cannot. It's going to be the Wrath of Nature spawning some creeps in. YBRD goes to the top lane again. I mean, I think in this scenario, you want to go for the bottom lane. There's nothing left for you to push down on the top. Is unfair bot. He's dropping really low. I guess he wished he got that Aegis. He does have buyback, so he might have to spend it. Death Ward coming through. Super Fresh dropping very low, but the stun will fly out. Now our Chronosphere catches 4 from the Dire. Super Fresh going down. Rain time as well. Bullock Chops very soon to follow. He'll drop. Super Fresh going to move into the top lane, but an effective push again. They get that ranged Drax, but losing everyone for a ranged Drax that had like 200 HP. Not effective at all, in my opinion. So the Radiant, they have every option to push down the mid lane and maybe get a Rax for themselves. It would be a little risky. I don't think they need to send unfair bot back, but they will anyway. And as such, they're not going to be able to pull all that much out of this one. Instead, they'll send Deny Orion and Mellow into the mid lane and do whatever they can to push, but 20 seconds for the Venge, 30 for Bullock Chops, 29 for Peachmonger. Super Fresh has no buyback if he goes down again, but I do not think he's going down again. And with only a Faceless Void and Shadow Fiend pushing. They do have Chronosphere back up again, so if they can get up onto the high ground, they might be able to make something effective here. As Boost of Travel level 2 is up in 5 seconds. But all these creeps will go down very quickly, and that means backdoor protection will be gone very soon. I mean, oh well. So backdoor protection is now back up as YBRD finally split pushing out the bottom lane. We'll pop the Necros just to get some push out as Butterfly being completed by Unfair Bot, soon to be completed by Mellow. In fact, he still doesn't have all that much gold, so surprised that his farming rate's been taking quite a dip. But a Maelstrom now completed for YBRD, going straight in for some raw push power. Respectable. As the rest of the Dire will hold back and farm. Still at about 1 kill per minute. As okay, it looked like he did buy the Talisman of Evasion, which is why he had so little gold. So his farming didn't quite dip as much as I expected it to, or as much as I initially said it was. But with 2 butterflies down and no other MKBs aside from the Drow Ranger, we will be having a Manta or a Scotty completed soon for Peachmonger as he goes in for the ranged slow on to Deny Orion, but won't continue chasing as Deny just blinks himself away. Bullock Chops making his move now with an Academ Scepter completed. That is cooldown and AoE, right? Yep. Greater Bash hits in an AoE. and it decreases the cooldown by quite a bit too. 20 seconds, that's amazing. Move forward on Deny Orion. Time Walk is down. Blink is down. He could be in a bit of trouble. The charge comes out. Nether Strike as well. And remember that lower cooldown. There is another Time Walk when Peachmonger comes in. Bottom Fair is going to go in for the TP. He doesn't have buyback if he goes down. I don't think. No, he does not. It's still on cooldown for 3.5 minutes. Peachmonger, though, getting caught inside the Chronosphere. Rain Time as well. However, Super Fresh is trying to deal some damage. Turns around to Deny Orion. It gets a little bit of damage off, but Unfair Bot's still very healthy. So that fight will just be a 1-for-0 trade as YBRD will start to push out the bottom lane once again. Black Bullock Chops might be getting aggressed on by the Unfair bot. But it seems they won't try for this one yet. Unfair will make his move up through the top lane. Look to bring down this tier 2 top. Finally, the last tier 1 standing of the game. Or tier 2 rather. Last tier 2 standing of the game. As a Dagon level 2 now completed by Boss. Goes in for the Veil of Discord as well and the Aghanim Scepter. So his magical burst is well in excess of 1,000 damage. I mean, 850 for the Finger of Death, 500 for the Dagon. And I mean, 1350 is going to be the absolute value too, because a 25% magical damage increase means 1350 plus about 400. As Deny Orion will go down, but that is an Aegis Immortality. That was very close to being reclaimed. I'm pretty sure it went down on the second it was going to get reclaimed. Huh, wow. But again, Lion, he's probably going to be closer to, well, that's a quarter of 50, 12.5. So we're looking at 412.5 bonus damage if he gets the Veil of Discord out. So 1762.5. That's a lot of damage. Take away a third of that, and that's what he's doing. So about 1,200 damage. Yeah, it's about face value. That is pretty amazing. The amount of burst damage coming out from that. In fact, you take a look at the HP values. It's half of the Drow's total HP. That's nearly all of Rain Time, half of Bullock Chops, half of YBRD, and half of Troll. I mean, it's a lot of damage. And on a low cooldown, too. I mean, the Dagon level 2. And the Dagon can only get stronger, too. I mean, we're talking about every single time he levels that up, an extra 125 damage being added to that total. Or, well, I guess, an extra 60 or 70 damage being added to that total. But it's a lot. It's a lot of damage on a lower, very low cooldown. 30 seconds for the Dagon, 20 seconds for the Finger of Death. Problem is, it's a kind of a thing that, to be super effective, one, you've got to get it off on one target. And two, you've got to be able to get it off multiple times. And if the damage is too great, then you just die and the combo is not effective at all. So we're going to have a butterfly completed. A whole lot of butterflies in this game. In fact, 1, 2, 3 butterflies are going to be completed here. I would have expected actually someone on the Dire to have one, but that will not be the case. In any effect, might see a little bit more split pushing as it seems Mellow's down in the bottom lane. They're going to TP in Unfair Bot, but YBRD, that is a huge amount of damage. They get him with the raises through the trees. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, they're trying to bring down Deny Orion. They'll then Nether swap him back and hit him with another strike. Definitely doesn't like the Nether, though. A turn in Chronosphere will help out. The silence quite a bit too late. As now a BKB is going to be on cooldown for Bullet Chops. They'll just turn, tail, and run. And that'll be it for that. Unfair Bot and Mellow still still pushing out the bottom lane. As YBRD down gives him a little bit of option to. He also picks himself up an Octarine Core, meaning his ult is going to do a whole lot of damage. And it's not going to do any more damage, it just is going to do more because you can cast it more. It's also going to mean the split pushing is going to be a whole lot more effective, as every single time you cast his ultimate, the creeps will push in, spawning more treants, and then boom, you've got a huge wave pushing in for any given lane, and that gives him some time, gives him some space. Rounding out the hour-minute mark now, as we're about a minute away from that, and still no clear winner. I think both teams have it quite within grasp to win the game, but both of them seem to be playing this one very carefully. It's almost as if I think both feel like they're playing from the back foot, even though I definitely feel like the Radiant can end the game. Especially with the Nature's Prophet down, like, you barrel down the mid lane, you win. 9 times out of 10. You get a good Chronosphere, you follow up with the damage you need to, you've got the Nether Ward, you've got, or the Death Ward, you've got the Requiem, the Call Down, as well as just the right-click damage is huge. They probably could have won, but they'll hold back, buy some time for themselves, and a whole lot of items then will get completed because of it. In fact, we're very close to getting 6 slotted onto the Shadow Fiend. 6 slotted on the Gyrocopter. He did get rid of that Sanjanyasha, as we talked about, for the Butterfly. We're around 6 slotted for everyone else. I think the Drow Ranger has probably hit that point. Mask of Madness has got to go. I mean, you get the same attack speed bonus from a... hold on here. They're going to go in for a fight. Unfair Bots already brought down YBRD. This is a disaster for the Dire if they go down. Super Fresh will drop Rain Time as well. Peachmonger inside the BKB. This is it. I think this is it for the Dire. The Radiant will push in through the mid lane now. 120 seconds for that Drow. There's nothing to stop them. I mean, save maybe Unfair Bot not pushing, but surely he knows to push right about now. The rest of the Radiant, where are they pushing? Why aren't they pushing? I mean, Mello and Deny Orion, sure, they can bring down a Rax on their own in this time, but if they have everyone there, they bring down the tier 3, and then they end the game. Like, that's what you do right now. It's 60 minutes in, you have the damage to do it. You can already see the tier 3 dropping very low, but they're not doing it. Bullet Chops, he'll probably just die in 3 hits if Mello just gets on the high ground, but won't do so. They'll bring down the tier 3, they get the racks, but as I said, that's all they get if it's just the 2 of them pushing. In fact, Mello might overstep his bounds a little bit. Pushes a little deep, but I don't know, swap back on Mello. They've got the Magic Missile, they've got the Nether Strike. They might just bring him down. Deny Orion's got himself a Chronosphere, but they have to back. Unfortunately, the Sprout is now out. YBRD, they bring down Mello. Down for 100 seconds, has to buy back. They'll turn around. Chronosphere, Bullet Chops getting brought down. Orion gets 1 kill off this one, but it's not going to mean all that much. A Shower or a Sprout to lock Rain Time in. Wow, the Dire are still in this. They shouldn't still be in this, but they're still in this. Alright, so more pushes coming out now as YBRD and Peachmonger making their move in. Or at least in the bottom lane. A little bit too late for the Radiant as they push again into the mid lane. And again, Unfair Bot goes to the top. I don't know, Peachmonger now going for Mello. This was a buyback. Do they have any detection? He'll turn around and try to fight! Peachmonger, he just needs to chain bash, but he cannot get a single one. The swap back, and Mello will drop. 120 seconds. What an unlucky series of events, though, for Peachmonger. As I don't think the Dire, unlike where the Radiant were with that last fight, I don't think the Dire can push off of this one. They might be able to split push a little bit with YBRD, but I don't think they can do anything substantial. Looks like Deny Orion will come through with a Chronosphere. His damage is pretty sizable now with a TP in. I think YBRD is just dead. He'll go in for the Sprout. They get some vision. They just need to bash, but Deny Orion, he walks around the tree, is not looking to go in, even though he did cut down one of them with his Quelling Blade. He doesn't want to attack. Oh well. So it looks like YBRD will live to fight another day, and that's hugely important. Him going down there, although he does have buyback, is another one of those things that the Dire probably just straight up lose. Although I have been wrong about that in the past because it didn't seem like the Radiant properly capitalized on the huge advantage they were given. So, unfair bot, as well as Deny going in for the bottom lane, but they're not able to push this one any further. Maybe if they had multiple units here they could, but they won't. Had a Blink Dagger now. Yeah, YBRD, he's tired of all the initiations, now buys himself a Blink Dagger. But Radiant still getting stronger. 25 seconds now for the Shadow Fiend to come back. We've got El Diablo and Bot Unfair up on the top lane. YBRD will quickly go to the bottom there. Where's the TP for Unfair Bot? He's got it in 10 seconds. This could be the split push they were looking for here. YBRD can definitely solo down the bottom racks if he's given the option to, but there is a Lion there to defend. And we all know what the Lion can accomplish, as Unfair Bot's gone up to the high ground to go on a Peachmonger. However, he's taking a whole lot of damage from Super Fresh, who is getting swapped back. Actually pops a Satanic, reaching himself back up. A Chronos here on a Peachmonger and Rain Time. But Unfair Bot was caught in it as well. He gets brought down. Super Fresh, time dilations onto him. The move forward from the Time Walk, but Deny is dead. Super Fresh could still drop to this one, but no. El Diablo goes down. Super Fresh! The bash or the stun. Oh, he'll die. Still, he has buyback if he needs it. And the Dire will still hold off of it. But, oh yeah, that went down a while ago. Okay. Yeah, I mean, that was a buyback. Another one from Unfair Bot. So him dying again, we saw how fast he died in that last fight. After he got chronoed in, the damage was incredible from Super Fresh, but he's going to move in now for the bottom lane of Rax, and he's got to be very careful about this one. With no buyback, this is a very aggressive push. Backdoor protection is still up, and it's going to be up for a while because of the Wrath of Nature. So with the TP in now, he cannot push any more than this. We'll go in for a Boots of Travel up to the top lane, as YBRD pushing out the mid lane. Awful lot of creeps here. I just want to see how many last hits he had. 1147 last hits on this gyrocopter. That's what happens when every single time... I mean, there's a good, like, 15, 20 creeps in here that he's just going to bring down. Yep, 1162. Just shy of 20 creeps. Right then and there. Peachmonger will go in for a solo Roche now. He's also got Rain Time in, which could help him if he goes into the pit, but he will not. Unfair Bot's going to look to contest this one, though. And that's a real big issue unless they can fight this, which they most definitely can if they can get a couple more units in. But Lick Chops will make his move now. As there's a TP, they can cancel this, but they won't.
You're done.
Alright, well, at least they get the Roche on. YBRD's dead. Has buyback. Super Fresh will go in for the Roche pit now. And get bashed in the first hit, as Radiant are making a beeline for the pit. This is an Aegis and Cheese now. But Diablo's a little bit too late. If they were even going to go for it, they don't anymore. The Cheese is in the pit. Super Fresh, I don't know if he drops anything for this. He really should. Okay. This is what Super Fresh needs to do right now, and I guess it doesn't even matter as we're going to have an event coming out. Unfair and Mellow, they've got the call down. The Requiem already out. Peachmonger, though, that Aegis already doing work for him. Rain Time drops. There's going to be the silence out. BKB from Peachmonger, who goes out. He'll bring down El Diablo, but on the back lines, so too will the Shadow Fiend drop. Super Fresh will get himself away at full HP. YBRD, he's got himself 30 seconds to come back into the fray. But it looks like he'll just wait out all of that time instead of opting to buyback. Peachmonger will be back in 80 seconds. And once again, another fight not amounting to really anything. As Deny Orion looks like he's going to be going in for either a Daedalus or an MKB. I imagine the Daedalus as the MKB. Okay, he does buy. He buys the MKB as soon as I call the Daedalus. Okay, yes. Yes, I really like this. Satanic, complete by the Satanic, and then you get a Moon Shard. Like, even the Moon Shard before the Satanic would be as effective as just having the the Mask of Madness, as you just cannot have the bonus damage coming into you at this point in time. He's got the agility to give him as much attack speed as he needs. Source his lifesteal elsewhere. I mean, even now he doesn't even need an Aghanims anymore. The Aghanims, at best, is a cheeky item. He'd, I think, be much more effective with something like a Butterfly or, God, even an Ethereal Blade. And I only say Ethereal Blade because that helps your push immensely. You can split push almost effortlessly by keeping the Precision Aura up as whenever it's on cooldown. Lasts for 30 seconds. I'm just kind of theory crafting a little bit because if you get an Octarine Core, which I'm not saying you should get, by the way, but you've got a 45-second downtime. I guess it's not really worth it for an Octarine Core. Just kind of playing around with possibilities. Whole lot of MKBs coming out, though. Makes a little bit of sense considering the Radiant have a lot of butterflies. But this is why I wasn't quite sure about the MKB pickups on the Radiant, is that the Dire don't have any butterflies or any source of evasion for that matter. So it's not really as effective. More, they're items with better DPS, but I have to see. I kind of want to take a look at the graphs because I just looked at them, but 20,000 net worth advantage for the Radiant was swung away from a 10,000 in the Dire. A 20,000 experience advantage for the Radiant is now back down to a 5,000 advantage for the Radiant. Just kind of a roller coaster game in every sense, but a two-man push in the bottom lane could widely turn into a very bad situation as Unfair Bot, he gets brought back 130 seconds. Rain time, he can't do anything about this. YBRD, the revenge of the Nature's Prophet, or is it really? No, he's dead. Okay. Yeah. I don't know what more to say about that one. We're closing in at 70 minutes, just passed, and the Radiant might very well be cracked wide open. I mean, with Gyrocopter, their primary damage down, they can still rely on the Faceless Void, whose Chronosphere is on cooldown for another 20 seconds, and a Shadow Fiend, who's still just effective. But they bring down this Rax in a couple of seconds. They've got a Glyph to protect it for a short amount of time. Silence is out onto Boss, though. He'll Dagon, but it's not enough. Diablo, 3 hits. He's down. Rain time's gone. But all the Radiant have to do, or all the Dire have to do, is turn around and focus him. Mellow's down. 99 seconds, does have buyback. As we have a Deny Orion coming through. Buyback on to Mellow. Buyback on to El Diablo. Super Fresh, he cannot die here, but he will still anyway. 98 seconds, he buys back himself. Has a boot to travel if he wants to spend it, but we'll go to the top lane and just kind of chill out. The mid melee Rax goes down in the meantime. And with a couple of buybacks spent, if the Dire are to win another fight, they could straight up win. Hard to see though, buyback only available. Actually, I'm surprised. Gyrocopter has his buyback back up now. So that's at the ready, but Peachmonger and YBRD both still have theirs. Mellow, he's hunting for the fight, hunting for something, but it doesn't look like he's going to find anyone just yet. Got a full retreat from the Dire here. Once again, 72 minutes in. A little bit of a pickup in the action so far. There's a couple of creeps being spawned now, some constant push down. Through the mid lane, it seems. The bottom, no real creep spawning for YBRD as he just goes down. He's like, fuck it, I'm going there myself. Super Fresh out onto Mellow, but they don't have detection. They still are charging onto him. That Shadow Blade's going to end in about half its, or has spent about half its time already. Do they have any gem, any dust, anything? They're still hunting. The Shadow Blade's down. They've got some vision. Bullet Chops, he finds him. He just needs another strike. Gets him out. There is going to be a boost of travel in from Unfair Bot. Bullet Chops has his own Shadow Blade, but is not going to spend it. A mass TP out onto Mellow as he pops into his his Silver Edge once again. YBRD down on the bottom lane. This is trouble for the Radiant. This could be split push haven. right about now as the Boots of Travel in. Super Fresh out for Boss, hitting him for a couple of HP hits of damage. He's got the Satanic out, though, which is bringing him back up to a near full HP. Unfair Bot chasing down Peachmonger, but Rain Time's dead. Super Fresh, though. He's going in. He's going for the base race here. Do they have any way to TP back? There's a Boots of Travel in 5 seconds. But Boss coming out with the Shadow Art, with the Dagon. They're doing a lot of damage here. Are they going to go for the base race? They can't do this. The Dire, they win this base race. Unfair Bot has come in, though. Super Fresh is down. 120 seconds without buyback. YBRD is going to go for the escape, and he'll get it off. Peachmonger now going in for Mellow. He gets the kill. Now trying to go for the Deny Orion. He just needs to bash lure this one. If Deny gets one bash, he wins. And he gets it. Chronosphere out, and he'll get the kill. YBRD still alive, though. All he's got to do is go after Deny Orion, and he will protect this. Still both tier 4s down, and the Ancient taking some damage. Unfair Bot can Boots of Travel into the Dire's base in 20 seconds, or in 5 seconds. But the moment he does, he leaves his own base wide open. El Diablo, not enough to defend. Oh, they're both going for it. YBRD, this is your shot. You have one chance. Palms are sweaty, I don't know. Mom Spaghetti, they got Boots of Travel from Peachmonger. They just go for it. And he comes to the trees to spawn as many tree nuts as possible. He's also got a Wrath of Nature and a couple of seconds, leaving some of the enemy creeps alive so that they'll spawn some more tree nuts. There is going to be a glyph being spent as, oh, they bring down Deny Orion. They can't do it. The Radiant, they are going to lose this one. The Dire, he just is hitting right through backdoor protection. I guess it's not even backdoor protection. They just finish it off. The Ancient will drop 75 minutes into the game. And the Radiant, they just cannot do any more. Guys, it's been a fantastic game to cast. Perhaps a little bit passive during the mid-game there, but certainly fun nonetheless. So thank you so much for joining us for this fun cast we got for you guys. And thank you immensely for the donator who sent this one in. Greatly appreciate it, guys. Thanks again. I will catch you, sorry. I don't want to miss my plugs here. If you want your own replay casted, you can go ahead and shoot me an email. Check the description of this video. $10 per request, whether it is going to be a recorded or live game. If you like the video as well, you can go ahead and like, favorite, subscribe, whatever floats your boat. Thanks again for watching, guys. I'll catch you all for the next replay.